look at your CFU packet from chapter 1.3, where we're now going to start to look at some of the different graphing techniques dealing with quantitative variables, which there are many. Today we're just going to focus on some, or in this case, the segmented bar graph. My apologies, we're not at quantitative. We are still dealing with categorical, at least, values here where we have more than one variable. Sorry, got ahead of myself there. So let's take a look at what we have going on here. Number one, smoking by students and parents. Here are data from a survey conducted at 8 high schools on smoking among students and their parents. Again, my apologies, we're still dealing with categorical variables here. So if we take a look here, we have student doesn't smoke, student smokes, and their parents have it. Either they don't smoke, one parent smoke, or both parents smoke. So in question 8 it says, how many students are described in the two-way table? What percent of these students smoke? So one of the things that anytime I'm given a two-way table, if they don't give me the row and column totals, I actually take a minute and I'm going to do these. So what I'm going to do is take a minute and add up each column and each row. So if you trust my calculations here, 1356, I hope they are all right. 2239, and this adds up to 1780, which gives me a grand total of 5375. Likewise, going across, if I add these three numbers up, I have 4371, and I have 1004, giving me a grand total, and I do a quick check, 5375. So now, this will help me answer question 8. How many students are described in the two-way table? 5,375 students. What percentage of these students smoke? So now we're looking at how many of the students actually smoke. 1,004 of the students smoke out of the 5,375 students, which is about 0.187. or which is about 18.7% of students smoke. Whoops. All right. So B says, give the marginal distribution of parents' smoking behavior, both as counts and as percents. Okay? So what I want to do is give the marginal distributions. So what I need to do is give them as counts and percents. So let me switch colors here for a second. So I'm going to do counts and then percents and show you how I'm getting both those values. So up top, I'm hopefully I'm giving myself enough space here. So this is going to be neither parent, one parent, or both. Okay, so as counts, we've already actually done those. That's what these marginal counts are. 1356 and 2239 and 1780. So now to do those as a percent, what you would do is you'd go 1356 and divide it by the total of 5375, and that would equal, if you trust my math, about 25.2%. Again, I'm rounding, so then 2239 divided by 5375 is about 41.7%. And then last but certainly not least, 1780 over the 5375 gives me about 33.1%. One of the things I do is I check, do those add up to 100%? Now knowing that you could have a round off error and it could add up to 99.9 or 100.1, that will be okay if you're rounding. Okay? That's a great check just to make sure I've done your math right. So I got my marginal distribution. Now next is we want to do what's called the conditional distributions. So it says 3 conditional distributions on student smoking behavior, one for each of the 3 smoking categories. Okay, so we're going to look at student smokes and student does not smoke. And I flipped these, but that's okay. And then because I think in the table it says not versus, so let me do a little correction here so I'm a little more consistent. So the table matches up so that it lines up. So it's student does not smoke versus student smokes. Okay? Okay. So now, again, we're talking about the parents have it, 2 up here, because we need to do 1 for each of the 3 parent smoking categories. Okay? So in this case, we're talking neither, 1, or both. So if we take a look at the 1,356 students that fell in the neither category, what percentage of them smoke versus not smoke? So we had 1,168 out of the 1,356, which is about 86.1%. And then you had 188 out of 1,356, which is about 13.9%. Do the same thing for the 1 parent. Now we're talking out of the 2,239, because we're only talking about what's the total of 1 parent or 1 parent families basically that were in this table. 1823, or I shouldn't say 1 parent family, 1 parent smoked. My apologies, misinterpreting the information. So, and then the other value was 416 out of 2239, sorry. And then these percentages were 81.4%, and this one was 18.6%. Then we do both parents smoke. The total was 1780 in this survey that where both parents smoked. So 1380, which is about 77.5%. And 400 out of 1780, about 22.5%. So now we got our conditional percentages or conditional distributions as a percentage based on student behavior and based off or 1 for each of the parent smoking categories. So D now says make a segmented bar graph to display the 3 conditional distributions from part C. So again, what we want to do is give a title. So we're just going to write smoking habits or smoking by students and parents, because that's what we're talking about here. So here we're talking about parent, and then we have on the y-axis here, we'll have neither, 1 parent, and then both. And then what we're going to do is, here's the percent, so let me move this up so it's a little bit easier for me to write, percent. So I'm going to count by 20s, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So what I'm going to do right away is draw myself a bar for each group here, because I have to represent all the possibilities that they can fall in. Now in our case, either they smoked or they didn't. So what I'll do is I'll color code it a little bit. So in blue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write student smokes. Okay, and then what I'll do is maybe I'll do green, right? and write student does not smoke. Okay. So now I need to go to the percentages for these. So this one's a little bit easier because I only have two percentages. So student smokes only 13.9%. So what I'll do is go roughly estimate that. I'll color that in blue. And then it went up to 18.6%, a little bit more. And then even a little bit more, 22.5%. And a little bit more. So that student smokes, doesn't smoke is going to be in green. Now given, I know that you might not have multiple colors, so you could have let one of this be solid and the other be blank, or you could put some sort of patterns like circles, stars, triangles, or just even slash it, okay? Just so that the reader can know which is which, okay? So, last but not least here on question E, it says, describe the relationship between smoking behaviors of students and their parents in a few sentences. Well, we can probably just describe this in maybe one sentence or maybe two. Okay, what do we see? Okay, as parents, or the number of parents that smoke increases, so does, or it's more likely that the student's going to smoke. Okay, so something like this. Students who smoke are more likely to come from families where one or both of their parents smoke. Seems logical also, but even something that seems logical and probably obvious, here it's at least supported by our data. All right, you'll need to go to the next video to get the back page.